Hey, Rob Gibson here with the Cross Minister Group. I want to continue our conversation about transformation and give you a couple of thoughts, just quick thoughts around transformation and presence. There's a verse from Proverbs that says this. Proverbs 20:5 says, "The purpose in a man's heart is like deep water, but a man of understanding will draw it out." Sometimes our own hearts are so deep we need to do the work of becoming present to ourselves to draw out what's going on within us. And I'm aware that, as I think about the scriptures and particularly Christ coming in the New Testament and being present to us, he could have just sent his book. He could have sent the Bible. He could have sent, notes and prophets as he did before. But clearly in the New Testament, it's important to God for his Son to be present to us. And in his presence, being with the apostles, the disciples, they're changed by his loving presence. And of course, when he says he's leaving, they freak out about that. And because like any of us, we don't want to lose the presence of a friend, of a loved one, of somebody who's had an impact on our heart. And he says, don't worry, because I'll send my Spirit. My Spirit will be present to you and actually within you. And so his presence and our presence to God through Christ and through the Spirit is it is where transformation happens, I believe. It's his loving presence to us. But sometimes our own presence to ourselves, let me just own that, my presence to myself at times is very distracted. There's so many things going on in my world, in my realm, so many responsibilities that I feel I have to tend to, people I want to talk to, things I want to do, that oftentimes my own busyness will keep me from being present to the depths of my own soul. And so that can be, what I'll call a distracted presence. And sometimes there's this ambivalent or I'll say a desire not to be present because what I imagine might be there, the darkness within me, the stuff I might see in the chambers of my own soul, I just would rather not see. And so I want to encourage you. There's an author I love, David Benner, who in a book called Presence and Encounter, he says, paraphrase this, "The cost of admission to the presence of God is presence to yourself." In other words, he's saying, if you're not fully present to yourself, if you're not connected to yourself, if you're not open and willing to receive and see what's there, it's difficult to connect to another. You know this. If you're busy on your phone and you're doing all kinds of things to distract and somebody's sitting across the table from you, it's like, if they're doing that, you don't feel their presence and vice versa. Well, the same thing with God. What does it look like for us to be fully open to receiving him and to be present to what's going on within us? And I want to give you just a couple of tidbits to think about. I love Psalm 46:10. I've probably said that to you several times on these videos. Be still and know that I am God. There's a sense of stillness, and in that passage, it's in the midst of a bit of a chaotic storm going on around the psalmist, where God says, just be still and know me. Kind of silence all the noise that's going on around you. Silence the chaos and the battle that you're fighting day in, day out. Just be still and know me. And so I want to encourage you to give yourself some opportunities to be still. Maybe it's a minute that you start with, that you just stop and you breathe. And you remember that verse, or you remember the truth that God is love, and he wants to meet you and be with you in love. So maybe it's a minute, and maybe you work from a minute up to 3 minutes, up to 5 minutes, where you can just be still, breathe in his presence. Be okay with your humanity, your brokenness, and let him meet you and transform you in his love. Presence matters if we're going to be transformed by love. And we've got to start by being present to ourselves and present to God, that we might more deeply encounter his love. Hey, I hope today and tomorrow and the next day you'll be present to his love and trust that he will change you for the good. Peace.